Hey trail friends, it's Dr. Jake Giese, physical therapist. If you don't know anything about me, I grew up in the Midwest. I am from Wisconsin originally, and I have lived in the Midwest my entire life. And one question that I get a lot from people in the Midwest is, how do you train for hiking or backpacking or trail running for some place that has a lot of mountains or valleys or just elevation change if you are from somewhere like where I am, where maybe if anything there's just some hills. So before we get into it though today, please like the video, subscribe, and comment below. Tell me where you're from. It helps the channel out tremendously and will help it keep growing. I want to keep making content for you guys about how to rehab your injuries so that you can stay on the trail, how to prepare for trail hiking and backpacking and mountain biking and running, as well as gear to do that, because I see a lot of people that don't know what to do, and I like to recommend that so that we get more people out on the trail. So please go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment below. It helps the channel tremendously. All right, so to train for a hike that has a lot of elevation gain, being in the Midwest, is simply we need to break down the activity that we want to do. And we need to find ways that we can do it at home or around in our local communities. So you need to get a little creative with this. So one of the things that is the most common is we, for example, maybe want to do a 14er. We want to be able to climb thousands of feet when we're doing our hikes, and we don't have that at home. So what we need to do first is we need to train our cardiovascular system. So one, we're doing aerobic power and we're doing anaerobic power. Aerobic power is just something that is your steady state cardiovascular exercise where you're doing a kind of a low to moderate intensity activity, and you're doing that for a longer period of time. That can be done with cycling, walking, swimming, elliptical, something like that. Stair climbing is probably the most applicable in this case, but any of those would work for your aerobic cardiovascular exercise. Then two is we need to work on our anaerobic power. Now, anaerobic power is when you are starting to kind of lose oxygen, or maybe you're like, if you're ever exercising and you feel like you can't talk, that is where you're starting to lose oxygen. Your body has to learn to start functioning on less oxygen than it is getting in. So when you're doing those types of activities, this is going to be good for when you increase in elevation gain, because you're going to be having to use more of that anaerobic power. So the ways that you can exercise to induce that is you can do your HIIT or your high interval intensity training. And you can do circuits, like cardio circuits, where you maybe bike really hard or run really hard or walk really fast for 90 seconds, and then you take a break, or you do it at a lower intensity where you go really slow, and then you go back to doing 90 seconds of hard work, and then go off, and then you keep doing that for a period of time, whatever your training, how much training you need. So those are ways that you can train your aerobic power and your anaerobic power to work on getting at your goals that you need for the long and increased elevation hikes. So to be more specific, some things that I use when I'm training, when I'm going maybe out west or something like that, when I'm hiking, is if you have a ski hill or some sort of hill, what you can do is you can start by just running, walking, or something like that up the hill, and then that's going to be kind of a combination of the two. You're going to get your aerobic power, and then once you start to get short of breath, you're going to start getting more anaerobic power, and that's where you're also going to be challenging your muscles and getting maybe a little bit more lactic acid buildup and get some of that burn, which you would probably be getting when you're doing your hiking, backpacking, or mountain biking type of activity, or racing. Okay, so start by finding a hill, the bigger the better. If you live by a ski hill, great. If you don't, you can make do with a little hill. You're just going to have to do more laps, and you might have to increase the speed in order to make it more challenging. If you have access to a treadmill, or even better, or you can do an elliptical, or even better, a stair climber in a gym, then use that. What you would do is you would do a sort of a cardiovascular exercise where you're doing aerobic power, a nice comfortable pace where you do a, say, 3 to 5 minutes at a nice pace where you're kind of at your minimal to moderate zone heart rate. So somewhere between your 30 to 50, 60% of your maximum heart rate, you would be doing that at a nice steady state. But then at the very end, you can challenge yourself and you can do some sort of intervals where you increase either the speed, the incline of the treadmill, or both, so that you then are getting a little bit more challenge of your anaerobic power, okay? Or you can separate those two and just do steady state day, and you could do an anaerobic power day where you work really hard and then you take breaks and you do something like that to train, okay? So first thing is start with the running or walking up a hill and do that. Then you can add a loaded pack to it. So you can either use your backpacking pack, you can use a school bag, anything, sandbags. You can get really creative. I mean, you could even use, gravel or sand is like anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds. You can use those as well, or you can buy something to use and you put them on your shoulders or you put them around your chest, which would be actually even harder because you're not going to be able to expand your lungs, and you would walk up the hill. That's one way to do it for free or super cheap. Other ways, if you have access to a stair climber, you would do the stair climber and you would either do it steady state, where it's nice, kind of a slow to moderate pace, or you can do, once again, the intervals where you're doing faster bouts and then you kind of slow down, or you take a complete rest. And you do that maybe, say, anywhere from 3 to 10 times, depending on what your goals are. Okay? So those are the things that I do when I'm training for a big backpacking trip and I need a little bit more cardiovascular endurance and work on my breathing. Other things that you need to include, but we won't go into too much in detail, is we need to do some sort of strength training. Definitely need to do that because you need more muscular power and you need more muscular endurance, and that is really going to be coming with strength training. And also it's a huge thing because it prevents injury. Too many people think that they're just going to keep training by loading up a pack on their back. Oftentimes you get injured by doing this. You need some sort of variety, and you need to kind of do off training or cross training where you're either doing bicycling or swimming or something like that, where you're not loading your knees and your ankles and your feet constantly. So those are things to consider when training in general, but especially if you are doing coming from like the Midwest or somewhere with low elevation, you're going somewhere training for something with high elevation. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I will try to leave some documents in the description so that you can use to train. We'll go through and I'll lay out exactly what I said there and how you can, kind of a cheat sheet so that you can use that to train for your next hike coming in the next couple weeks, months, or in the next year. As always, please subscribe to this channel. We're going to be doing more content on rehab, fitness, and training, as well as gear for all those activities, like I said, that I love: hiking, backpacking, trail running, mountain biking, right? And then please like the video and also comment below if you're interested in anything else regarding this topic, or if you're doing any training and you're having any questions regarding it. So as always, stay healthy, stay on the trail, and I'll see you on the next one.